everybody. Today's lesson is about the quadratic formula. This is something you have to memorize, and you will be able to do it because you are allowed to use a calculator. But there are other things that go along with the quadratic formula. So just bear with me. These are the objectives for today. So what is the quadratic formula? In algebra, if ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, then you can find the roots by using the quadratic formula. And the formula says x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of, and this entire thing is inside the square root, b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So if you look carefully, you can see that negative b over 2a is something you're familiar with. That is the equation for the axis of symmetry. Inside the square root, we have something called the discriminant. And these are the two parts of the quadratic formula. And it so happens that the discriminant helps determine the location of the roots on either side of the axis of symmetry. So here we have the axis of symmetry, and then it says plus and minus. So on either side of the axis are the two roots. So let's see how this works. The first thing you need to know is how to find the discriminant. And the discriminant is part of the quadratic formula, but it's not the square rooted part, just what is inside the square root. So if I ever ask you to find the discriminant, you're simply going to calculate b squared minus 4ac. Let's see how this works. So here's an equation, and you're given the function. You should first write out what a, b, and c are equal to. And these are the coefficients of x squared, x, and the constant term. Then, since you're using a formula, you're going to write the formula. You're going to plug in the values, and be very careful how you do your math. It becomes 4, and then the second part is just negative 4 times 1 times negative 8. So it becomes 4 plus 32, which is 36. Why don't you try this one? Here is your function. Remember to write down your a, b, and c values. Write the formula, plug in the values, calculate, and it's equal to 20. So what does the discriminant mean? We use the discriminant to find the number of roots. A quadratic function can have anywhere from 0 to 2 roots. So remember that you're only calculating b squared minus 4ac. And then you actually just have to remember that when the discriminant is 0, we have one real root. When the discriminant is positive, we have 2 real roots. And when the discriminant is negative, we have no real roots. You will understand how this works as time goes on. Right now, you just have to do the math. So let's try this. Here we have x squared plus 8x is equal to 11. You find out ABC, and you find the discriminant is equal to 20. Since the discriminant is positive, we can say that this function will have 2 roots. And then the last thing is to learn how to use the quadratic formula. This is simple, yet a little complicated because of the math. So first you want to write down your ABC values. Then you're going to write down your formula, and then very carefully you will plug in. Make sure you use parentheses for every single part. So we have negative b in parentheses plus or minus square root of 8b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. In this case, when you do the math, it's negative 8, and inside the parentheses it's 64 minus 44, which is 20, divided by 2. and then you will use a calculator to solve the math. And remember, you must divide at the very end. So -8 plus radical 20 and -8 minus radical 20, divide by 2. These are your two roots. We're going to practice more of this in class, so I'll see you in class soon. Goodbye.